So, welcome everyone to IBC Siksha Bhagavad Gita reading. We are reading chapter 14th. And let's start with the prayers which are on my screen. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Uktapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahakana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंग राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च प्रीतानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नाम नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी विचारिणे निर्विशेष नादि पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे Okay, so we were reading from 14th chapter and we completed till verse number 5. So what we read was there are three modes of material nature. So when the living entity comes into this material world, he gets different kinds of bodies, and then these are the three gunas which control him: sattva gun, rajas gun, and tamas gun. Okay, and we went over some examples like Ravana, Vibhishan, and Kumbhakarna, right? Yeah. So we'll go into details. What is this three modes? In short, we saw this table. So we'll be going into this detail only from verse number 6. Is there is Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamasgun, goodness, passion, ignorance. And as the word says, goodness is good, passion is passionate, ignorance is ignorance. So result will be good, passion will be misery, ignorance will be madness. The person in mode of goodness will be pure, passion will be born hankering, too much born of desire, lust, ignorance will be, he'll be foolish. So in ourselves there will be a combination of the three gunas. It won't be just one guna, it will be combination of the three. That's what we discussed. So therefore, our activities will be resultant of the three. And then there are other factors also. This material nature itself is in three gunas. So we went into this details, right? Time, music, food, day, month, sports, job, etc. Everything is in three gunas. So they will have their three gunas. We have our own three gunas within our body, right? Every other person around us are in three gunas, right? So all of the three gunas, what will exactly come out is will be what guna is able to win over the another one. Okay, just like, let's say, if somebody is trying to study and it is in the evening part of that, so in the evening part there is passion, little bit of ignorance has started. Okay, so it's difficult to study, right? Because time is there, but his own determination is there to study. So these are the conflicts that keep happening between the three gunas. Okay, so the three gunas keep fighting. Krishna will tell the three gunas keep fighting with each other. Okay, so let's start. If there are any questions, comments, you can interrupt me. Um, let's read translation purport. Someone please volunteer.
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Okay.
O sinless one, the mode of goodness being purer than the others is illuminating, and if it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by the sense of happiness and knowledge. Purport: the living entities conditioned by material nature or of various types. One is happy, another is very active, and another is helpless. All these types of psychological manifestations are causes of the entities conditioned status in nature. Now, how they are differently conditioned is explained in this section of Bhagavad Gita. The mode of goodness is first considered. The effect of developing the mode of goodness in the material world is that one becomes wiser than those otherwise conditioned. A man in the mode of goodness is not so much affected by material miseries, and he has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. The representative type of is a Brahmana, who is supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness. This sense of happiness is due to understanding that in the mode of goodness, one is more or less free from sinful reactions. Actually, in the Vedic literature, it is said that the mode of goodness means greater knowledge and the greater sense of happiness.
Yeah, we just wait. So mode of goodness is like a Brahmana. He has more mode of goodness. Okay, so if somebody is following the Vedic rituals, the Vedic lifestyle, right? There is a lot of mode of goodness in him. So what happens? Mode of goodness is pure, illuminating. One is not confused. It's free from sinful reactions. Okay, it's free from sinful reaction. One is not doing any sin. So that is mode of goodness. And the best example is the Brahmana.
Brahmanas.
Okay. Now, interestingly, Prabhupada uses this word, the effect of developing mode of goodness in the material world. Meaning you can develop this mode of goodness. So when we are taken birth, there is a certain amount of goodness, passion and ignorance within us. Right? And then, like I said, we can develop mode of goodness. We can develop other modes also. We can increase or decrease it. Right? So more we have Brahmanical way of life, the more mode of goodness will happen. Now, what are the Brahmanical ways of life?
There should be in Vedas.
Yeah.
Studying scriptures, then the worship of.
Yeah. So this is the in 18th chapter 42 verse Krishna summarizes. He says peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, religiousness. So if somebody is increasing these qualities within him, then it is a Brahmanical quality and mode of goodness is increased. Self-control is
when the child is born itself, they have all these qualities.
Not all of it. So when we take birth, we get a material body. Okay. In that material body, there is a permutation combination of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Okay. So each child is different because the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance differ. Like you can see, the child, if it is very shanta sabhav, then we know that some goodness is there. But if it is always crying, is that we know some passion is there, ignorance is there, right? And as they grow, you will see that qualities. When you have more than one child, you can see, what is the difference between the two children, right? So the point is, we can increase and decrease the modes, and one has to transcend from ignorance to passion to goodness in spiritual life. So in spiritual life, we have to come towards the Brahmanical qualities. Okay. Now, the Pandavas, they were also Brahmanical qualities, but they were Kshatriyas. How that happened is, they have these qualities. They have leadership, generosity, courage in battle, resourcefulness, determination, power, heroism. On top of it, they have these qualities. So that's how they increase their mode of goodness, even though they are in mode of passion. Okay. Like Duryodhan also had this power, heroism, power, determination, but no self-control, no austerity, no purity. Right? Yeah. So this is the point. We can develop by following the mode of goodness, by following the Brahmanical culture. So interestingly, we are in India, so we know a lot of Brahmanical culture. If we have come from those families, right, it's very easy. But if we are not from those families, then we have to learn the Brahmanical culture. Now, first thing in Brahmanical culture, Prabhupada introduced 4 regulative principles. Right? What are those?
No gambling, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication. No intoxication.
So this is the basic Brahmanical quality, meaning the regulative principle of Brahmana will follow.
Illicit sex.
No intoxication.
No illicit sex.
No illicit sex. Okay. So Brahmanas are known for this, that he won't do these 4 things. A Kshatriya may gamble, he may sometimes eat meat, he may do intoxication. Illicit sex he will avoid. But still some Kshatriya will go ahead and out of passion. A Vaishya may follow all this 4. A Shudra may also do. Sometimes they may break also. But a Brahmana will follow all 4 very strictly.
Yes.
Okay. So just by following these 4 principles, the sinful reactions are reduced, right? Sinful reactions are reduced. So one can immediately come to mode of goodness just by following these 4 principles. So it's a mode of goodness. And then after that, one can follow other things. Dana, tapa, wisdom, knowledge, study of Vedas, yajna, dana, all that.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, so that's the point. Let's go forward.
The difficulty here is that when a living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. In this way, he becomes conditioned. The best examples are the scientist and the philosopher. Each is very proud of his knowledge, and because they generally improve in their living conditions, they feel a sort of material happiness. This sense of advanced happiness in conditioned life makes them bound by the mode of goodness of material nature. As such, they are attracted towards working in the mode of goodness, and as long as they have an attraction for working in that way, they have to take some type of body in the modes of nature. Thus, there is no likelihood of liberation or of being transferred to the spiritual world. Repeatedly, one may become a philosopher, a scientist, or a poet, and repeatedly becomes entangled in the same disadvantages of birth and death. But due to the illusion of the material energy, one thinks that that sort of life is pleasant. Hare Krishna.
Now I was telling, one has to move from ignorance to passion to goodness.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So is being in goodness still a good thing?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, it is good. But it is still under the material mode. It is still under material nature. Now, if we have to go to the spiritual nature, then we have to transcend even this mode and go into purely goodness. Pure goodness. So, Purna Sattva, you must have heard, this is Sattva, but this is Shuddha Sattva. So, in this, there is no material nature. Okay. So we have to transcend from ignorance to passion to goodness. And from goodness also we should transcend to pure goodness. That is done by bhakti. Okay. To get over it, we have to do bhakti. Then we will go up. So by following four agreed principles, we can come to goodness. By following the Brahmanical principles, lifestyle, we can come to goodness. From there, doing bhakti is easy. And when we become pure devotees, we get to pure goodness, where there is no material influence, and we return to the spiritual nature, that is spiritual body. So in the mode of goodness, what is the problem? There is some problem, which Prabhupada said. That
they get attached to
the scientists and the philosophers, Prabhuji.
To the comforts in
yeah. They think this is very nice living. I don't have to do bhakti. So interestingly, mode of goodness doesn't require bhakti. If you look at all this, where is bhakti in this list? In this list, it is also not there. In this list, it is also not there. Because when we talk about the modes, they are under the material nature. They can be without bhakti. Right? So that's what the problem with the modes is, that one can develop it without bhakti.
Okay.
So,
but for them, those who are in this, that is a goodness in material world, they have repeated birth and death. No, Prabhuji?
They will have less sinful reaction. That's it. And they will have a sense of happiness that I am superior. I am better than other. I have better knowledge. That is their false thinking. So bhakti means I belong to Krishna, I will serve Krishna, I will go back to God. Okay. So that is not in the mode of goodness. But in mode of goodness, because the sinful reactions are less, practicing bhakti becomes easy. Because of sinful reactions, right? There are disturbances in bhakti. Because of non-Brahmanical qualities and lifestyle, there is disturbance in bhakti, right? Like those who come from non-Brahmanical lifestyle and they come to bhakti, right? They find it very difficult. Like no meat eating. I mean, let's say vegetarian food, then within vegetarian food, no garlic, no onion, no tea, no coffee, right? Lifestyle of a Brahmana. You have to do deity worship. Previously, one would employ a Brahmana and then that person would do, right? But now you have to do it because it increases mode of goodness. Study of scriptures. Study of scriptures. Sit down, attend this 1 hour lecture, like that. It's a difficult thing. That lifestyle itself is difficult. People want to enjoy, spend time and all, and Brahmanas, they will be focused in their life, right? So anyway, the difficulty in the mode of goodness is that one thinks he is superior. Now, when we do bhakti, we come to know we are not superior, but we are servant of Krishna and servant of everybody. So that's how we transcend even the mode of goodness. So what is the problem in mode of goodness? To think oneself superior. And the solution is Bhakti Yoga, where one thinks I am servant of Krishna and everyone.
Awesome.
So that's how he transcends even the mode of goodness. Okay. Now let's get into mode of passion. Somebody read.
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Okay, okay.
The mode of passion is characterized by the
Mother,
attraction between.
you have to read the translation also.
The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. Purport. The mode of passion is characterized by the attraction between man and woman. Women has attraction for man, and man has attraction for women. This is called the mode of passion. And when the mode of passion is increased, one develops the hankering for material enjoyment. He wants to enjoy sense gratification. For sense gratification, a man in the mode of passion wants some honor in society or in the nation, and he wants to have a happy family with nice children, wife, and house. These are the products of the mode of passion. As long as one is hankering after these things, he has to work very hard. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that he becomes associated with the fruits of his activities and thus becomes bound by such activities. In order to please his wife, children, and society, and to keep up his prestige, one has to work. Therefore, the whole material world is more or less in the mode of passion. Modern civilization is considered to be advanced in the standard of the mode of passion. Formerly, the advanced condition was considered to be in the mode of goodness. If there is no liberation for those in the mode of goodness, what to speak of those who are entangled in the mode of passion?
Okay. So like passion, it is characterized by attraction between man and woman. So, what does this attraction between man and woman means? The enjoying propensity, enjoying sense gratification. So, example is Ravana, right? He was born with unlimited desires and longing, and for that he would ready to go to any extent. And then one is bound to material fruitive actions. He worships Shiva, but for material fruitive, things, right? He worshipped Brahma for material actions, and he had many children, um, and he worked hard, right? He built a house which is gold, which is made of gold, right? So modern civilization is also like that. Modern civilization is also like this, right? We see, we the whole purpose of education is what? To get a job, right? To earn, to get big flat, and then live over there, have nice wife, children, husband, like that. So that is all in mode of passion. So therefore, peace is very difficult to get in mode of passion, right? Mind will always be disturbed. One has to work very hard for it. Therefore, if we simplify our life, if we reduce some dependencies, then we become a little bit happy and peaceful. In the previous ages, that is in the Vedic times, mode of goodness was considered superior, advanced state. So the Brahmanas, the Rishi Munis, they were looked upon. Like these are the perfect examples. And then the Kshatriya were looked little down, oh, he's enjoying tendency. And the Vaishya and Shudras will also look down. But the Brahmanas were looked at very great respect. In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime, in one of the Rath Yatra, what happens is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is dancing, chanting the holy name, and he's about to fall. Then from behind, Pratap Rudra, King Pratap Rudra, he catches Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then looks behind and sees that the king has caught him. And he says, oh, such a passionate person has touched me. I have become impure. So this is how, the Vedic times were thinking. But in today's lifetime, today's world, if somebody is very rich and that person even looks at us, we feel, oh, such a great thing, right? So in today's world, the whole success definition, the advanced definition is how much rich you are, how much influenced you are, right? what is your position, name, fame in the society, right? But in the previous ages, it was not like that. The Rishi Munis were had advanced condition. They were considered like Lord Ram. He considered the Rishi Munis like topmost, and to take the association was the highest advanced condition, right?
But the king was also must be. He also came for the Rathyatra, no, Prabhuji.
Ha 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 ha.
So he must be also some sort of bhakti he would have had, no, Prabhuji. Then why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought about that?
Because he was, see, in the Vedic times, right? This is a culture that the sannyasi is in the highest advanced condition, and the Kshatriya is not in the advanced condition because he's thinking about body, he's thinking about wife, children, society, etc., etc., etc. So a sannyasi would not associate with a Kshatriya. A Kshatriya would have to come and serve the sannyasi.
Okay.
So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on himself was not interested in meeting Pratap Rudra. But Pratap Rudra had great devotion for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so he wanted to serve the Lord. Now, interestingly, you told me this king had a service attitude. Generally, kings don't have service attitude. They are very puffed up. So, few generations before in the Orissa, there was this one king, and he had a daughter. So, this king was from South India, I guess Melakote or somewhere. Not Melkote, some South Indian kingdom. So once he sent his minister to Jagannath Puri, go and check the king over there. And I have my daughter, so I want to get her married. And I've heard about this king. He's a religious person. Just go and see. So this minister goes there to Jagannath Puri, and they see that there is Jagannath Rath Yatra festival going on. And the king has come out with a broom in his hand, and he's grooming the street. Seeing this, the minister is very amazed, and he thinks, oh, this is an abominable thing for a king to do. So he returns to South India and he says that to the king that that this king is actually sweeping the road with broom in his hand. Thinking like this, the king says, I don't want my daughter to marry him. And he insults the king of Jagannath, Puri, the king of Puri. So you see, it requires devotion to be in mode of goodness, to consider that I am smaller than the smallest, and I'm servant actually. This bhav is very difficult. So king is like, so many people are after him, running after him and on his command, and so much of money he has, right? So one is very puffed up. So it is very rare to find a king who is saintly. Raja Rishi, who is Rishi also and king also, who is saintly king. That is a very rare condition. So Pratap Rudra was a saintly king. Arjuna, Pandavas, they were saintly king. But look at Duryodhan. He was not a saintly king. He was only a king. Very materialistic king. Okay. So yeah. So passion. We talked about passion. Now let's get to ignorance. Somebody read.
Hare Krishna. Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Okay.
From the purport, Prabhuji?
No, translation.
Translation also.
We finished this purport, right? Yeah, we finished.
Okay. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Translation.
Hare Krishna. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul.
Purport.
In this verse, the specific application of the word tu is very significant. This means that the mode of ignorance is a very peculiar qualification of the embodied soul. The mode of ignorance is just the opposite of the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, by development of knowledge, one can understand what is what. But the mode of ignorance is just the opposite. Everyone under the spell of the mode of ignorance becomes mad, and a madman cannot understand what is what. Instead of making advancement, one becomes degraded. The definition of the mode of ignorance is stated in the Vedic literature. Vastu yathatmaya gnanavarakam viparyaya gnana janakam tamaha. Under the spell of ignorance, one cannot understand a thing as it is.
Yeah,
For
wait,
example,
wait,
if,
wait.
huh, yes,
So one understands, one is actually mad and cannot understand what is what. So just think of drunken people, those who drink and they lie on the street. How they are in mode of ignorance. They are in pure mode of ignorance. So we can just imagine how come become they mad, out of ignorance, right? Example we took is Kumbhakarna, and even all the drunkard people, the addicted people, drug addicted people, right? Yeah, all these are examples of mode of ignorance. Read.
for example, everyone can see that his grandfather has died, and therefore he will also die. Man is mortal. The children that he conceives will also die. So death is sure. Still, people are madly accumulating money and working very hard all day and night, not caring for the eternal spirit. This is madness. In their madness, they are very reluctant to make advancement in spiritual understanding. Such people are very lazy. When they are invited to associate for spiritual understanding, they are not much interested. They are not even active like a man who is controlled by the mode of passion. Thus, another symptom of one embedded in the mode of ignorance is that he sleeps more than is required. 6 hours of sleep is sufficient, but a man in the mode of ignorance sleeps at least 10 or 12 hours a day. Such a man appears to be always dejected and is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. These are the symptoms of a person conditioned by the mode of ignorance.
Yeah. So drunken, addiction, and Prabhupada gives another understanding of mode of ignorance, where one is not interested in spiritual understanding at all, zero. Then also it is madness. Okay, why? Because he has no information of eternal spirit. He's just thinking of money, working hard, not caring for what will happen after death. So if you see criminal people, they are like that. They don't care about spirituality and nothing. For them it's just making money and illegally, and you know they think I'm
Seeking
going to live
money.
once, so let me enjoy. This is their statement, right?
Mm.
Live life king size. You live life only once, like that. But we know that we just take bodies again and again, depending on that. So mode of ignorance is like that. Sleep, 6 hours of sleep, Prabhupada says, and maximum 10 to 12 is like mode of ignorance. So 6 to 8 hours are considered good number of sleep. Hmm? Okay. Next is, O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions ones to happiness. So this happiness means I am superior, I have great knowledge, I am free of sin. That is the happiness, not spiritual happiness. Passion conditions to fruitive actions. Fruitive action means he will see only his profit. And ignorance covering one's knowledge binds to madness. So where activities lead to madness is ignorance. Like drunk and driving, if somebody is drunk and he's driving, we know what is going to happen, right?
Yes.
Accidents and terrible things happen. So it's all madness. Okay, someone read the purport.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji,
But a person
A person in the mode of goodness is satisfied by his work or intellectual pursuit, just as a philosopher, scientist, or educator may be engaged in a particular field of knowledge and may be satisfied in that way. A man in the mode of passion may be engaged in fruitive activity. He owns as much as he can and spends for good causes. Sometimes he tries to open hospitals, give to charity institutions, etc. These are signs of one in the mode of passion. And the mode of ignorance covers knowledge. In the mode of ignorance, whatever one does is good neither for him nor for anyone. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So,
Prabhuji, I have one question. Now you said that he is in the mode of goodness, but mode of goodness, how he can have the this thing, Prabhuji, intoxication and then drive a car or something like that?
what? Sorry.
Actually, the person is in the mode of goodness, no?
Hmm.
So, when he's in the mode of goodness, how can he have the intoxication and drive the car?
No. I didn't say that. I was talking about mode of ignorance.
Ignorance, okay.
Yeah. But if a person, say a Brahmana, who is in mode of goodness, but he drinks, then he
Okay.
immediately goes to mode of ignorance, right?
Yes, yes.
And then, all his results are madness.
Hmm.
And you must have heard the story about Ajamil.
Yes.
So Ajamil was in Brahmanical mode, Brahmanical lifestyle. Only thing, he didn't have devotion to Krishna. But one day he saw a prostitute and then he desired that prostitute, and to get that prostitute he got her home and so many things happened. But because of Brahmanical culture, he named his last son as Narayan. And while dying, he was calling his son Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. But then Lord Narayan thought that he's calling me. So that is the power of bhakti. See, modes cannot save us. Only bhakti can save us. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. And mode of passion, I earn so much, I will do some charity. So they open some hospitals, charity institutions. In ignorance, whatever he does, it is not of any use. Like, ignorance can be used to run charities. So in America, there are charities to start a gambling institution. They run charities to start gambling institution or intoxication. So that is of no use, right? So they use charity in the mode of goodness. So this is the thing. One will use the mode and do any other activity, and then the result will be like that. Like say, the activities of teaching. So generally a teacher is in mode of goodness, right?
Yes.
Then how come mode of ignorance will come in there? Give me an example where a teacher is in mode of ignorance or mode of passion.
Partiality.
Okay, partiality. More.
Also in the passion to earn more money.
Earn more money. Yes, earn more money. That is also there. In this regard, there a few years back, maybe 6, 7, or 8 years back, in the state of Orissa, what happened is there was this professor of a college, and he was not promoted. So then he got so angry, he got so much mode of ignorance within him that he used his intelligence to create bomb. And then the principal who did promote him, he sent that bomb as a gift in that principal's son's marriage. And after one day, they opened the box. The wife, the husband opened the box, and at that point, his grandmother was also there, and wife was also there. So 3 people were there, and the bomb exploded. In where the grandmother died and the husband died.
The wife was there.
Wife. She was newlywed just one day, in marriage, and she got widowed. So then the police found out, what is the motive and all that. And then they came to know that this is the same professor in that college and he is having a grudge against the principal. So he technically, they are in mode of goodness, teacher. But if they develop mode of ignorance, then they can do something which is madness. Like that. And somebody in mode of ignorance can do something good. Like, once Prabhupada was giving a lecture in New York, and this drunken man came, and he bought toilet paper with him, and he went inside the bathroom and he kept the toilet paper and he came out. So Prabhupada said he wanted to do some service, even though he's drunken. So he did service to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, so person may be in mode of ignorance, but they did service to Prabhupada and in mode of goodness. Like Jatayu. Jatayu is technically in mode of ignorance because eating dead animal and all that, right? But he had mode of goodness and he wanted to save Sita. Okay, so he had mode of passion, he had mode of goodness also. So he acted that way in that situation. Like that it is. So all three modes are there in us. Depending on what wins according to our determination. See, our determination is also in three modes. Mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. So at that point, what is our determination? Like sometimes, some students, they don't study at all. And when the exam comes, 2-3 weeks before, they start studying like anything. And they somehow clear. So the point is, initially they showed mode of ignorance. Then suddenly they started showing mode of passion and goodness. So, it's like, okay, this is the verse that I am talking about. Did we finish reading this? Okay, yeah. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance. Osana Bharata, sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. So all the three modes, they're fighting with each other, and depending on the person, they win. And then that person is forced into act into that particular mode. Getting? So yeah. So all the three modes are fighting with each other. When the mode of passion is prominent, the mode of goodness and ignorance are defeated. When the mode of goodness is prominent, passion and ignorance are defeated. And when the mode of ignorance is prominent, passion and goodness are defeated. This competition is always going on. Therefore, one who is actually intent on advancing Krishna consciousness has to transcend the three modes. So this is the problem with the three modes, right? Like you cannot really say I am in mode of goodness, and so I will remain in mode of goodness. No, you can be defeated. Like Ajamil was in goodness, but some small passion came and then he was overcome by it. See, we see this in children. They cannot control themselves. Right? And the child is nice, good, listening. But something happens. Like they see some chocolate or they see something and then they are fighting over it. Right? And you will think, till now he was good. Now suddenly he is fighting. Suddenly he is crying and shouting. Right? So at that point the particular mode has overcome and he has forgotten what has happened. So the prominence of certain mode of nature is manifested in one's dealing, his activities, eating. So the mode affects in everything. Dealing, activity, eating, etc. Everything. All this will be explained in later chapters. But if one wants, he can develop by practice the mode of goodness. But still we can develop the practice of mode of goodness. One can similarly develop the mode of passion and defeat the goodness and ignorance. like becoming passionate. Like, sometimes people say if you work hard, you can achieve goals. And some people really work hard and they start achieving. So they are developing mode of passion in them. And then one can develop mode of ignorance also. One can develop mode of ignorance also. How? One associates with, let's say, alcohol or drugs. And we hear, oh, such a nice person, but he got addicted to drugs and alcohol and now he's no more. Right? We see
Yes,
such
Prabhuji.
examples, right? So this is what happens. Although the three modes of material nature, if one is determined, he can be blessed by mode of goodness. And by transcending the mode of goodness, he can be situated in pure goodness. So I was talking about this pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva or Vasudeva state, where he can understand the science of God. So to achieve this, what is to be done? How to achieve pure goodness?
Practicing
By concentrating
Devotional service,
in the
Prabhuji.
Yes,
Devotional
devotional service.
service.
Yeah, that is the answer.
devotional.
So by doing devotional service, we will achieve pure goodness. By manifestation of particular activities, it can be understood in what mode of nature one is situated. So how one acts, we will know what mode he is in or she is in. Okay. Somebody read translation and purport.
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Go ahead.
The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. Purport. There are 9 gates in the body: 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, the mouth, the genitals, and the anus. When every gate is illuminated by the symptoms of goodness, it should be understood that one has developed the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, one can see things in the right position, one can hear things in the right position, and one can taste things in the right position. One becomes cleansed inside and outside. In every gate, there is development of the symptoms of happiness, and that is a position of goodness. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So if you see this picture,
Yes, Prabhuji.
mode of goodness is increased by giving up envy, ignorance, lust, anger, pride, attachment, and then when one accepts a spiritual master and study the Vedas, austerity, sense control, spiritual knowledge, devotion, then they achieve Radha Krishna. So this is the process. Where are we? Yeah. So in goodness, what happens is all the senses are used for good activities. The 2 eyes, 2 nose, 2 nose, mouth, genitals, anus. The eyes are seen. So we have a very nice verse in Bhagavad Gita. You must have read this verse. It's a verse about Ambrish Maharaj. Ambrish. Let's see. I maybe it's spelling wrong. Ambrish. Pada. Very nice verse. Let's go there and Ambrish Maharaj. Shit. Come on, find it. Okay, yeah. Savai mana Krishna padar bendiyor. Savai mana. You have heard this verse? Savai mana Krishna padar bendiyor.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So this is the example where all the modes Yeah. So it's in Shrimad Bhagavatam 9:418. Savai mana Krishna padar vendor vacham se vaikunta gunana varnare. So when all the modes are, all the senses are in mode of goodness and in pure goodness, na, this is the thing what happens. King Ambrish fixed his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, engaged his words in describing the abode of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing the pastimes of the Lord, in eyes in seeing the form of the Lord. So all the senses are only in service of the Lord. His body in touching the body of the devotee, his nostrils in smelling the flavor of the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulsi leaves offered to him, his legs in traveling to the holy places where his temple is situated, his head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in fulfilling the desires of the Lord. And all these qualifications made him fit to become a Matpara devotee of the Lord. So this is what it means that all the senses are illuminated. They are used in goodness, and in pure sattva they are used in service of the Lord. So when we develop bhakti, right, we are using our eyes to see the form of the Lord. We are hearing Shrimad Bhagavatam. We are smelling the flower offered to the Lord. We are eating only prasadam. And how the genitals are illuminated? Can you tell me how the genitals are illuminated?
We had the child to do Krishna conscious child.
Yeah, either brahmachari, where one doesn't utilize his genitals, right, in a brahmachari ashram, or in the grahastha ashram, just to produce children and then raise the children in Krishna consciousness. That's how it is eliminated. Text
And
number
anus,
12.
Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Anus?
Anus, same thing, used for this purpose,
Hmm.
um, so basically, there are foods in mode of goodness.
Hmm.
That I didn't discuss, but yeah, we will discuss.
Hmm.
Okay. Manifestation. Okay, here. The chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, uncontrollable desire, hankering is developed. So we can just, by reading this, if we imagine Ravana, we will see that he satisfies everything. Great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, uncontrollable desire, hankering develops. Right? If you read Vibhishan, all his gates were illuminated. Goodness. In mode of passion, one is never satisfied with his position. Like Ravana, he anchors to increase his position. If he wants to construct a residential planet, he tries his best to have a palatial house. Like Ravana, he said, I want everything of gold. As if he would be able to reside in that house eternally. And then he develops great hankering for sense gratification. There is no end to it. It was not that he just captured Sita. He had captured so many women. He had a very beautiful wife, Mandodari, but he wanted every other beautiful girl. He always wants to remain with his family and his house and to continue the process of sense gratification. There is no cessation of this. All the symptoms can be understood as characteristic of mode of passion. When there is increase in the mode of ignorance, darkness, inertia, madness, illusion are manifested. Just like in Kumbhakarna.
Kumbhakarna is...
Yeah.
Prabhuji, he was always sleeping, no? So he
and when he would get up, then he would eat anything.
Yeah.
Anything that comes in front of him, he would eat.
And Prabhuji, when he went to meet Ravana, he told him, no, why you have captured a married lady and then brought her here. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, but then he said that because you are my brother, even if you did wrong, I will support you and I will protect you and I will fight for you and I will give my life for you. That is madness, right?
Yes. You should have gone along with Vibhishana.
Yeah. See, terrorists are mad. Why? Because they are killing innocent people. By killing a child, how come their purpose is served? So like that mentality. When there is no illusion, knowledge is absent, one in the mode of ignorance, does not work by regulative principle. He wants to act whimsically for no purpose. Even though he has the capacity to work, he makes no endeavor. This is called illusion. Although consciousness is going on, life is inactive. They are symptoms of one who is in mode of ignorance. And then what happens when one dies in mode of goodness? He attains pure higher states of the sages. He goes to the sages, like Brahmaloka, Janaloka.
Hmm.
And those in passion, they become animals.
Hmm.
They take birth in animals.
And those who are in ignorance,
Actually, those who are in passion, they take birth among in fruitive activities. Ignorance is animals.
okay.
In passion, what happens is they may take birth in a very animals which are in passionate nature,
Hmm.
or uh, in a family which is very passionate.
Hmm.
Like sometimes you get birth in these families, like where one is money minded or one is really, really cruel, right?
Hmm.
In mode of ignorance, animal or family which are like animals, you know.
Okay. Hmm.
Like sometimes you see some people, they're just lazy. They like one of my far relative, from my wife's side. uh, they have a son, and he got married,
Hmm.
and then his son's wife was earning,
Hmm.
and then the father-in-law, he's taking that money and he's drinking.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the fight happened in the family and they kicked him out.
Hmm.
So that is mode of ignorance.
Hmm.
It's like animal life only. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we will read just for 5 minutes. We will see some more things which are not in this chapter, but then they are in other chapters. Okay. Shraddha, faith. Mode of goodness, they will worship the demigods. Mode of passion, they will worship demons. And mode of ignorance, they will worship ghosts and spirits. Here, mode of ignorance, they will be directed towards spiritual life. They will be rooted in fruitive activity, fruitive work. They will reside in irreligious activity. Food. Mode of goodness, food. Juicy, fatty, wholesome, pleasing to heart, increase longevity, purify existence. Basically grains and vegetables and fruits. Mode of passion, food. Bitter, sour, salty, dry, pungent. It will create misery. Like, there is a trend going on, na? Too much cheese, then
Sticky.
then then they are using this fire, and they will burn it, right? They will make it black, and that people will eat. Then what more? Spicy. What is that called? Dish. Sizzlers. Have you heard about sizzlers?
Sizzlers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they bring
Like,
it like
if it
a
is very
children.
hot and it is spicy,
Hot. Yeah.
you can immediately feel that in stomach some upset is happening, right? So that food which is misery, it is creating more problem than giving us nourishment. Then mode of goodness, food is old, tasteless, decomposed. Non-veg food, decomposed food. Grapes, if one eats grapes, that is in mode of goodness. But the same grape, if we keep it for many days and then
Yes, and
ferment
then
it, it becomes decomposed. And we take the grape in the form of wine, then mode of goodness comes in us. Drunken state. So like that, food. Even sacrifice, yajna, can be performed in the three modes. Austerities can be performed in the charity can be performed in the three modes. It is there in the 17th chapter. So we are in 14, 15, 16, 17. After 2 more chapters, we'll read this. Renunciation can be in those 3 modes. Knowledge can be in 3 modes. Karma can be in those 3 modes. Like that. Understanding, determination, happiness. Worship of Krishna can be in 3 modes. Worship of Krishna can be in 3 modes. One can approach Krishna to achieve, to gain material benefit, but not devotion. One may do worship of Krishna to commit violence against others. Like that. Like sometimes we see, devotees fight. You must have not heard, but yeah, devotees fight with each other and all that. So it is a mode of ignorance. Some devotees, they want position, men under them. Then it's a devotion in mode of passion. But we have to do devotion in mode of goodness. Without material attachment. Okay? Okay. So let's open up for some questions or comments. Any question, comment?
Prabhuji, it is said that in mode of ignorance, spiritual and they are said to be in mode of ignorance because spiritual understanding is not there. Then in passion, how is the spiritual understanding of them?
It is for material benefit. I am doing this for some material benefit. I'll get some power or siddhi, or I may get some money. On the name of God, there are many organizations, right? They will chant the name of Krishna, but they will say, they will collect money on that purpose, right? And then that person will live very comfortably. Getting?
Okay. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Any other question or comment?
Prabhuji, like it's given in that purport, one of the purport, people in the mode of passion, they do charity. So because of which also they will, from goodness they'll transcend to, from passion they'll transcend to goodness, Prabhuji, because
No,
of
no, no,
charity.
no.
No. Okay.
So charity what is the mood behind the charity defines the charity. So in what happens in goodness is it is given out of duty, without expectation, without return, proper time to a worthy person. But in passion, what happens is there is an expectation of return. I am giving this charity, you will do this work for me. Desire for fruitive results, I will go to heavenly planet. In a grudging mood, I don't want to give, but just for name, fame, I am giving. And in ignorance, it will be improper time, improper place, in unworthy person. Like I talked about charity for casinos, gambling places, right? Charity for lottery, right? That is all in mode of ignorance. Without proper attention, without proper respect. If the charity is given, then that is also in mode of ignorance. So the mood is important. Okay, the mood is important.
Okay.
The mood is also equally important. Like let's say somebody invites you at their home for lunch, and this is how they do. Like if they serve you by improperly, by telling you harsh words, you won't like it, right? So what is the meaning of that inviting the guest? It is in mode of ignorance or mode of passion. Mode of passion means
that they can be quiet.
Mode of passion means internally the desire is I am serving you now, you have to do this work for me, right? And in goodness, I am serving you without expectation. That is the highest, right? When Duryodhana invited Krishna, it was with mode of passion. But Vidura, when he invited, without expectation.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Mode of goodness.
He didn't
Prabhu,
expect
that is
anything.
pure goodness novel. Vidura invited Krishna.
Yeah, that is pure goodness. See, pure goodness has a lot of things that are there in goodness, except for I am thinking that I am superior, I have knowledge, I am free of sin. Except for that, pure goodness is I am servant, I have a knowledge which I have to share with everyone. And third is, what did I say?
Always think that you are a servant of Krishna.
I'm free of sin means actually the devotee will think that I'm not free of sins. I have to do devotion service very nicely to get free of sins. Okay. Okay. So no more questions. Then we will stop and meet next week, and we'll continue from text number 16. Hmm? Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.